Welcome to Name 3 Songs. I'm Sara Feigin.
And I'm Jenna Million. And this is the podcast where we take the piss and debunk music fan stereotypes. Because, let's be honest, fangirls knew about that band way before you did.
And this is Music Meltdown, where we talk about our personal stories as fangirls and some hot takes on hot topics. So this week's episode of Music Meltdown is probably going to be a bit of a mess, I'm not going to lie. I recently fell in love with Machine Gun Kelly, and I thought it needed to be spoken of.
Yes.
For people
indeed.
who don't,
Sarah has dragged me into this.
I've created a mess, and I'm sorry, but also not, because again, I just can't control myself when it comes to skinny men with skinnier legs singing pop punk music.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for context, a few nights ago, Sarah just texted me this music video from Machine Gun Kelly that he just put out for my ex's best friend, and they're in a desert, and he's on top of a car playing guitar.
It was the hottest
and
thing
his
I've
hair
ever
is very
seen.
fluffy. Sarah's not okay anymore. I was very into this music video. It was really cool. I was also very into the song. Sarah, what was your initial reaction to the video, and how did you come across it?
So I spend a lot of time on YouTube, and my time on YouTube is equally spent between watching people talk about Final Fantasy and watching music videos. And so, in my second recommended video spot after job to start in on Final Fantasy 14, it was a 8-hour-old video of the video for my best friend's ex with Machine Gun Kelly.
Is my ex's best friend?
Oh, my ex.
Or is it my best friend's?
I don't know. Another thing other than I can't count and I don't know music genres is I'm really bad at song names. Hence the title.
My ex's best friend with Black Bear.
So basically, I've had an on-again, off-again crush on Machine Gun Kelly since he was in that TV show Roadies on, I think, HBO in 2016. So anytime a new Machine Gun Kelly video comes out, I watch it at least 8 times in a row. But I clicked on this video in particular. I didn't even realize it was a Machine Gun Kelly song because the title was so long, because the sky in the thumbnail looked really pretty. And I was like, oh, this looks like it's going to be a really pretty, a really nicely shot music video. And so I clicked on it and I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is so, number one, it was cinematically beautiful. And number two, it's a freaking banger. I was like, the song is so good. Well, because I forget that when I don't pay attention to Machine Gun Kelly, I forget that he is a pop punk boy at heart. And so whenever he releases these pop punk jams, I'm like, oh my God, this is a gift from above.
This song, when you sent it to me, my impression was I was like, wait, he plays guitar? And I was like, wait, this is pop punk? And I was like, wait, what? I always thought he was a rapper, and I didn't know he was making pop punk music. And then as we dug, we figured out he does both, and he has historically kind of been a rapper, but then recently been doing a lot more pop punk tracks and has an album coming out with Travis Barker. So definitely more pop punk in our future.
Yeah, because I just remember when I first looked up his music because I was watching Roadies, I was like, oh, this is pretty good, but it's not really my thing. And then I guess it was a year and a half later, I got sent to go photograph him, and just a show, I didn't meet him or anything. And after the first 2 songs, he pulls a guitar out, and I realized that every song is 50-50 rap and pop punk. And I was like, this is incredible. And I just was really, really impressed. Usually when I'm sent to just shoot a show, I'll shoot my first 3 songs and I'll leave. But I stayed the whole entire set because I just was so impressed by his stage presence, and just and also just the crowd, the meld of people that were at that show was just so interesting to me. And I just wow, all these people of different ages and races and genders are all here, and they love what this guy is doing. And so I was like, I'm just gonna stick around and see what it's like, and I wound up staying for the whole show. And then I like listened to his music for like a couple of months after that, and then I just kind of stopped again. But yeah, I guess I feel like sometimes when an artist doesn't 100% resonate with like your state of mind when you find them, you kind of like they just kind of drift away, and you're like, okay, like I'll revisit at some point.
That's really true. Or like you become obsessed with them at a certain point and you listen to it later and it doesn't resonate with you as much. Okay, so then you sent me the music video for I Think I'm Okay with Youngblood and Travis Barker.
Yeah.
I love that music video. Like I honestly don't watch music videos that often and usually I don't care for them, but I love that music video because they're like it's like they're having their own like concert or they're putting on a gig and there's like a small stage and everyone there's like close-ups of like the fans, which I feel like they probably just like had fans come and like did this with them of like whatever they were wearing, like because they're all in their punk attire and stuff.
Yeah,
they're in their punk attire for the show. But anyways, it was just like very cool. And like I love how, because really like I've listened to some of his music and I mean I haven't listened to a ton, but like I really like his two most popular singles right now, which is My Ex's Best Friend and then I Think I'm Okay. Because they're very like the guitar is just very easy, fun, in your face, catchy. Like it's that pop punk riff that we know and love well. And then he's just like talking over it or well singing a bit. But and then it's a cool collab with Youngblood, and Youngblood is such an interesting looking character. So I think the whole video is really cool for it. So I approved. I was like, yeah, I'm into these.
I also just really love his like at least in my mindset, like an unexpected friendship with Travis Barker, who like Travis Barker is like the reason most of the reason like why, other than Josie and the Pussycats, like why I've become the human I've become. Because when I was like 8, I got gifted like a Blink-182 CD, which like I don't know what drunk relative did that to an 8-year-old, but I thought that the drumming was so cool, and I was like, I want to do this. And then like I think like 6 months later, my mom took me to go see the Josie and the Pussycats movie, and I was like, I'm gonna be a drummer because if Melody can do it, I can do it, and I'm gonna be Travis Barker when I grow up.
How did that work out?
I was terrible.
Did you take drum lessons?
I did. I played the drums for like 8 years. I was really bad at it, but I wanted it so badly. Oh my gosh. I was in a girl band for 6 months called Fat Free Milk.
Wow. How old were you?
I was a freshman in high school.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah, we actually were pretty good, and then our singer got grounded, and then we had to stop being a band.
You could have been Travis Barker if that girl didn't get grounded.
I'm so mad about it still. I think that maybe she just didn't like me, and that's actually what happened, but who knows? But yeah, I mean, I love when there's like a good like pop punk crossover with something else.
I feel like there's kind of a pop punk resurgence right now because in the limelight we have Blink-182 coming back, and they're like touring with rappers and doing collabs. We have All Time Low having its heyday in the limelight. We have people like Youngblood and Machine Gun Kelly bringing in kind of like this new age pop punk sound into popular music. So
yeah, I think it's gonna have a resurgence majorly, which is wonderful. I just hope it's not in like no offense, I just hope it like remains in the Machine Gun Kelly Youngblood camp and stays away from the Knuckle Puck camp. But that's just my personal opinion on pop punk genres. But I mean, the thing is that I think also just like the root of why I really enjoy Machine Gun Kelly after rediscovering him is because it reminds me a lot of Gym Class Heroes, and I loved Gym Class Heroes. Like I thought that they were so cool and so innovative, which they were and like still are, like if you listen to what they were doing. And I think Machine Gun Kelly's music is like really like similar in a way. I think the stuff that he's released recently is like a bit more pop punk and less rappy than like his past stuff, and also like Gym Class Hero stuff. But anyway, I mean, Machine Gun Kelly just really interests me because I don't know. I love when somebody grows up pop punk and is like, oh, maybe this isn't the type of music that I can do, and they do something else in a similar way. But I love that Machine Gun Kelly throughout like quarantine, lockdown, pandemic life, whatever we want to call it, has been doing all these like basically like bathroom covers. I mean, he's like done them in other spots than his bathroom, but I mean, he and Youngblood did a cover of Supernova or by Oasis, and then he did one with Travis Barker where they did Misery Business, which like is so good. And then there was a video that Jenna sent me. Yeah, I know. And then I have it on all of my playlists now. But my favorite is that Jenna sent me a Instagram TV episode where Machine Gun Kelly calls Marilyn Manson, of all people, and is like, oh yeah, I'm like doing this thing where I'm like covering songs. Like they're just talking like they're buddies. Like, what the heck? Anyway, he's like, yeah, Marilyn, my best bud. Like, I'm doing this thing where I'm covering songs, and like, I think you should request one. And Marilyn Manson is like, you know what? I think you should cover Rihanna. So, Machine Gun Kelly covers Rihanna, and I sobbed in my bed about it for 20 minutes. So, if anyone's curious about how my mental state is doing, I cried about Machine Gun Kelly covering Rihanna for a long time. I watched it like 6 times in a row. It was great.
That whole thing was really funny.
Also, just like his dedication to his aesthetic is like very impressive, because like everything he looks like he rolled out of Hot Topic and also an 80s movie, and then also on top of that it's as if he like walks around with like a light tech, because like everything is always lit really nicely. Like everything he does.
Oh my god. Well, when you have that many millions of followers and you're dating Megan Fox, I think you automatically get a light tech to follow you around wherever you go.
Oh my god. I just feel like Megan, I'm shocked that Megan Fox was not with a pop punk icon earlier. Like, it's weird to me that she dated like a 90s like heartthrob, or like was married to a 90s heartthrob, and then like after having kids and doing that whole thing, she's like, now is my time to date a 90s to date a pop punk icon. And I'm like, excuse me, Jennifer's Body was like a pop punk icon movie, and like I don't know why you didn't give us this sooner. Like,
yeah,
rude.
I agree.
3 weeks later.
So we took a 3-week break from the beginning of this episode till now. Welcome back, Jenna.
Hello. So great to be here.
Yeah, we thought we made the executive decision to wait for Tickets to My Downfall to come out to properly cry to you guys about Machine Gun Kelly. Which, I mean, all of you should go either to our Twitter or our TikTok account, and you can see me literally sobbing over Machine Gun Kelly. I think actually I'm just gonna like insert it. It's gonna be like over here somewhere. This is me sobbing to Machine Gun Kelly at 1 a.m. the night of the release, because I am emotionally stable. How are you? This record is the best thing that's ever happened, and I just like everyone needs to go listen to this if you love pop punk music. Like, oh my god. This is art. Actual art. Yeah, Jenna and I were literally just like texting. I was like, it's coming out in 5 minutes. I don't think I personally have been that excited for an album release in a long time. I don't know how you were feeling.
Yeah, I was definitely looking forward to it. I don't think I've had like an album countdown in a while either, to be honest. Like, it's been years even since I cared that much about a record.
Well, it's just like we haven't yet done any episodes about like strictly about like pop punk, like emo, like Warped Tour type stuff, but like we're very much like pop punk kids, and so having somebody who like has this big of a platform and like as big of like a star as like, well, I feel like Star, like I feel like he wouldn't like
he kind of is,
but like yeah, just like as big of like a name, like a household name in some senses, to come out with a record in 2020 that's strictly pop punk. Like,
It's pretty sick.
It's just like, it's so, like, I feel like it has so much more meaning than a lot of people realize. But then again, like, so many, I don't know about you, Jenna, but like so many of my friends were like posting on their Instagram story about it. Like, way more people than I follow that I thought.
I didn't notice that, but I think it's really interesting for a few reasons. The first being that emo rap is like this whole emo with 808s trend of like rappers kind of going back to like pop punk roots is, I think, is just really interesting. And I think we could dedicate a whole episode to that. We just might do that. So in the context of that, like, it makes sense for him to be doing this because this is kind of like a trendy thing that's happening right now. But he's like straight up going full on pop punk with this record. And that also makes sense because he's been in this world for a while. Like we talked about, he did Warped Tour.
Yeah.
Even though he's been a rapper, like he's been around these influences for a long time. And so it just makes sense with him being friends with Travis Barker and like Youngblood and all Halsey, all these people.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really cool for him to do this pivot.
Well, and I think also it's like the same thing with Halsey of like both like Machine Gun Kelly and Halsey are like notoriously known to their fan base as like pop punk kids, even though that's not the kind of music really that they release.
Yeah.
And I mean, I lost my shit at Forget Me Too, because like all I've ever wanted is to like hear Halsey belt like that. Like, oh my god.
Has Halsey ever been featured on any other pop punk songs?
No, but I do think that
she had like one with Youngblood, but it wasn't like super pop punk.
Yeah, it wasn't pop punk. That was more like, I think that was a Halsey song, not a Youngblood song, so it was more poppy. I'm pretty sure that All Time Low brought her out once to sing with them, but like they've never recorded anything. So this is like the first recorded history of Halsey getting to be like the pop punk bad bitch that she's so rightfully
we've always wanted her to be. Well, yeah, like, that she deserves to be, and that we wanted her to be. So
Halsey, this is like the first time that she's done this, and I'm just like, girl, give us a record, please.
Yeah, true.
But oh my god.
On the other hand, is it easy for MGK to make this pivot because of the hard work that Blink-182 and All Time Low and Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco and all these other bands have already put in? And now, because he's a white man with a platform and resources and is friends with Travis Barker, he can just make this pivot no problem and throw a record out there and have 1 million streams in one night.
Well, I think the thing is, wow, oh my god, hot take, oh my god. Well, because so the first song that he released that was like this was Why Are You There? And then the Misery Business cover did super well. And then Bloody Valentine, which was like incredible. Yeah. I
mean, yes, but like.
And I think also when, like, I don't know when any of these songs came out.
I'm sure he had already made the record by the time they did the Misery Business cover.
Oh yeah, I think that he's been working on it for a while. I just meant that like he like eased his fans into it. But I get what you're saying of just going straight from like a rap record, which like his last record was, to.
I'm saying it's easy for him to do this because he's a white man with a lot of resources and his best friends with Travis Barker.
Yeah. 100%. I just meant that like he has been sort of like moving his music. I don't know when Candy came out, but I mean he featured Trippie Redd in that, and also on this record, also on Tickets to My Downfall, on like my other favorite song, All I Know, which is like a nice little like callback.
and Travis and they had the one with Youngblood that's not on this record, I Think I'm Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know when that one came out. And then
last year, I think.
They did a song with Ian Dior, who's like very notable.
Yeah.
The Sick and Tired with Ian Dior, who's like notable as like an emo rapper.
Yeah.
And like doing this crossover as well.
I love that song. I wasn't thinking about features.
So in general, I am a big fan of like this trend. I think it's interesting that he did a straight pop punk record, but I think, he kind of had the way paved for himself.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I think that he acknowledges that. I think that they're like in a few interviews that I was watching, he very much is like, I wouldn't have been able to like do this if like I hadn't befriended Travis and like all that sort of stuff. It's like, I think that the short but sweet like pop punk surgeons, like pop punk emo surgeons in like the charts in the early aughts, like very much shaped a lot of people, like younger millennials. Or like mid millennials. I don't really understand. I didn't understand anything clearly. But I think that it really like shaped a lot of us, and it like you can hear so much like emo pop punk like influence on so many records that came out after those years, even if they were like different styles of music. And so I think that acknowledging those before him is like really important. But I also think that how incredibly well this record has done so far, like the fact that it got like 132 million streams just the first night it came out
is
like,
ridiculous.
It's because like every person who's ever like heard a Machine Gun Kelly song was like ready and willing to like welcome him and be like, yes, we like the rap fans, the pop punk fans, like everybody who he's been like on this like weird like ice rink of genres, like just like we're gonna listen, and they did in like crazy numbers. And I just think that like personally, I don't think a legit on the nose pop punk record this good has not come out in like the past 10 years. And like, and I mean
that's a big statement,
personal opinion, but I mean there was not a single song I wanted to skip. I like literally was like, I can't wait to hear him talk about aliens with Pete Davidson again.
Okay, wait. So if you're calling this the best pop punk record of the decade, what are some others up there? I would like to know, Sarah, because that is such a high honor that I feel like we need some qualifications. We need some qualifiers of like who else is in your top contenders. Because I personally have not listened to pop punk in a while.
Okay, so we talked about this the other day. Don't Panic is a fucking good pop punk record. And I don't think that All Time Low got enough like acknowledgement for how good that record was after putting out the shit that was Dirty Work. Yeah, so I think that like that's up there. And then I think everything Boston Manor has released is like not as, it's like a bit harder pop punk, but I think they still fit into that thing. Welcome to the Neighborhood is like fucking class record. So is Be Nothing, and like Glue, which came out this year, is also really, really good, like high up on my list of like pop punk greatness. And I mean, I don't know, like those are like the main ones that I can think of that are like ones that have really stuck out to me personally. I mean, like I like the early November released like three records in the past decade, 4 In Currents, I guess. I didn't realize that was in 2012. In Currents by the early November, I think is very like classic emo pop punk, which is really good. There's not a skippable song on that either.
Yeah, but I think it's also like, I don't even think you can compare this record to the early 2010s because there's like such a gap, and like pop punk in 2012 was very different from what pop punk looks like now. So
yeah, well, I think well, yes, but also I think that this record is very like reminiscent of early pop punk music, and I think that's why I like it so much, because you listen to it and you're like, this is why I got into like pop the Warped Tour scene of music, like this is why I like this. And I think with you asking that question, it like does make me think a lot of like what records have come out from like quote unquote pop punk bands, because there is like the like new wave surgeons like Knuckle Puck and like Neck Deep and all those bands that State Champs, like out of all of them, it's like I think that Neck Deep is the closest to making like real pop punk music of like what I think pop punk is as like an old person. But also Neck Deep is problematic, so so it's like that whole thing where it's like, how do you balance it? Because again, like people nowadays would classify like newer Bring Me the Horizon probably as pop punk more so than they would have in the past, and like Don Broco. And so like pop punk has become like this a much bigger,
broader term,
like a broader term, whereas this Machine Gun Kelly record is a pop punk record.
Yes. Okay, that is a That's a very good point, because I remember like in my youth going to Warped Tour, pop punk was like a very specific term where it's like, to me, I would consider the main pop punk, but like they kind of weren't. Like the type of music they were making skewed on the pop side of like that power pop type music. Even All Time Low was like right in the middle for me. So then there were bands like Bring Me the Horizon then, which are completely different than they are now. So there was like, but I think people were more like protective of genre titles and like, oh, that's not pop punk and all this stuff. But I do think this record is very like at its core, this is what I think of when I think of pop punk.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by it. And I think that's why I got like so emotional over it, was because I was like, this is like, I was like, I have not heard something that feels so much like a safe space, even though he's like singing about like really rough things, but it just feels so much familiar. Like so familiar, so comfortable, but like also so trailblazing in its own way. And so I was just like really blown away by like the fact that it felt so much like home, but also so much like something new. And I think that this is going to like set a precedent for bands and like make it more like available for people to like be like, okay, like pop punk is like this is it, like this is here. And I feel like Paramore kind of with like After Laughter kind of like were towing on that line, but they went way poppier. But I think that they kind of like opened the door that was like ajar to be like, hey, we're a pop punk band making like this super poppy record that still feels like rock music, come on in. And then Machine Gun Kelly is like, welcome.
Yeah, it's a good point of like both like for the wider audience and then like his fans specifically, opening the door to like the pop punk world. And so I think it will give more opportunities for other pop punk artists to like rise through this too.
Yeah. And I just feel like again, like the way that he did it, where he like featured like Ian Dior and like Trippie Redd and like these other artists that like are in that subgenre of sort of like sad boy rap. Like I think that that's like a really great way to sort of, and like going like off of like other topics that we've discussed of just like making genres not really matter anymore. And like just making it like music is accessible to everyone. It doesn't matter like what you look like, how you dress, like what like genre bubble you want to live in or whatever the case is. This is like one of those records that's like, welcome to the party, we're happy you're here.
Yeah, a good way of putting it. Okay, so what were your first thoughts?
I mean, like
was there any songs that stood out to you other than Crying?
You know what my first thoughts were, which were tears, like actual tears. I mean, I just think that like his like broad honesty on the record was like just really incredible. Just like him just being like, I've been through so much shit, and like a lot of it was like self-inflicted, and he admitted it on these songs. And I just think that it was just very interesting, because like from somebody who like liked him but like didn't care that much to like then revolving my whole life around everything he does for the past month. It's like it's like a breath of fresh air listening to an artist be this open. Like I think that is really great.
To be fair, like I don't know about you, I have not listened to a lot of his rap songs, so like I don't know what his lyrical content looks like prior to this. But I would agree, like he is like super like brutally honest on this, and I think it fits well within the pop punk genre, because the pop punk has always been very like self-deprecating and like talking about what you've been through and not glossing it over any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so I have like I've listened to his stuff in the past, but like recently I listened to more stuff, and I mean, one of the songs that I really like that's a bit older but not that older is the song called Candy, which also features that guy Trippie Redd on it, and that one's about like him doing MDMA. So he's like always been very open, at least about like his drug issues. But yeah, I mean, as for favorite songs, like I really love Play This When I'm Gone, which is a song he wrote for his daughter, which I think is like really beautiful. Really sad but really beautiful. And I think it's a really nice ending to the record. Like I think it really like ties everything together. That like interlude with Megan Fox made me kind of uncomfortable. Like the only thing on this record where I'm like, this is a lot to unpack. And
wait, no, why? Like, what are your thoughts?
well, I think it just, so number one, I don't know. I was saying this to one of my other friends, but number one, like, where are Megan Fox's children? Like, where are her children? Like, Megan Fox dropped her whole life as like a wife and a mother to be with MGK, and then there's this interlude that's like her being like, "Do you even remember our relationship? You're so high all the time." And I'm like, why are you airing this to the world?
Yeah.
So it was just like a lot because like I love Megan Fox, so it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, but like your children, your beautiful children.
How old are her kids?
I think younger than Coulson's kids. So I think like her oldest kid might be like 10 or something, and the youngest one's probably like 5 or 6 maybe. There's 3 of them. So that was like a bit weird. But what song was that before? It's before
the last one you just said.
Yeah, so that was weird because but I think I said before, like I just remember as a kid, like so many albums I listened to had interludes. Like I remember Aaron Carter's first record had so many weird interludes. So this was just so funny where I was like, what is going on?
I think about the All-Time Low, yeah, you know which one. I don't know titles, but you know.
Yeah, so I just think it's like funny that he included those. But also I'm like, why like there's 15 songs. I want 2 real songs. I don't want interludes, but I will listen to you talk dumb shit with Pete Davidson all day. It's fine. But yeah. And then as I already said, like Forget Me Too is like, oh my god. That song just is so good with Halsey, and like she just sounds amazing and their voices together sound amazing, and it's just like, oh.
I thought she was a smart feature for sure.
Such a smart feature. And it was so good. Like, and it's, you can, like, I just feel like you can tell that they were having fun, even though it's like a studio recording of a song. You can just like feel it when you're listening to it, where you're like, these 2 people are in their happy place. Like, this is great. But yeah, I mean, there's not, other than that Megan Fox interlude, like, there's not a bad song on this record. I think it's pretty perfect, honestly. I don't know, what do you think?
My least favorite is Kiss Kiss.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not a fan of songs like Sounds Like That. Like, I feel like there's been other pop punk songs like that, and I'm just like that type of, I don't know, the quick, like, I'm not a fan, but it's not a bad song. I just don't like it.
It sounded very much like one of those weird Blink songs that like,
I feel like We the Kings would sing it.
Yeah, that works too.
Like, that's why I don't like it. Like, I'm just like, oh
my god, but it does sound like that one. Oh my god, what is that one We the Kings song? It actually sounds like a We the Kings song.
Maybe I'm onto something, but I don't know.
Oh my god.
But my top favorites are Drunk Face and Jawbreaker. I really like those 2.
Jawbreaker is so good.
Yeah. But then it's like hard for me to like think of, so Bloody Valentine, My Ex's Best Friend. Was there another single, or was just those
Concerts 2? For Aliens.
It's hard for me to like think about those in the context of the album because I listen to them so much as singles. Like Concert for Aliens makes sense on this record. Like I feel like Concert for Aliens like didn't make sense outside of the record because it was so pop punk that like it fits in so much better here, whereas Bloody Valentine and My Ex's Best Friend make sense as singles, especially My Ex's Best Friend, because I think that one is like very much pop leaning. So it's hard for me to like plug those into the theme of the record because I'm like, oh, but I listened to it as a single and now it's like part of the record. But I think like My Ex's Best Friend is probably going to be my most streamed song of 2020 at this point. Because,
no, oh my god, something's going to dethrone Miss You after 2 years at the top of my charts.
Oh my goodness. Our 2020 Unwrapped is going to be super interesting.
It's just going to be MGK.
Yeah, so we're going to see, but I think it's on track already for me personally.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, I've literally since midnight on Friday, this is all I've listened to, and I don't know if or when I will stop because literally, like, you should have seen my face. I was cooking dinner on Friday night, and I put it on like the house like speakers, and like once title track like got into it, I'm just sitting there grinning like a fucking idiot. Like, I just was like so happy. It was like so good. This is amazing. My soul is soaring. It's like, oh my god, I'm just like wax poetically about.
Yeah. What more can you ask for in an album, like, to make you feel that?
It was like euphoric. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So in conclusion, MGK, 12 out of 10. We approve. That's our stamp of approval for this album review. Thank you for making pop punk and changing our lives forever.
Oh my god. Yeah, so we just needed to come to this little outlet of ours that we've created to yell about Machine Gun Kelly. Yeah, I can't believe that my ex's best friend changed our lives forever. Just because Colson decided to sit on a car during sunset. He's like changed everything. He's changed the trajectory.
Oh yeah. That imagery is like ingrained in my brain forever. Playing a hot pink guitar in the sunset in the desert on top of a car.
Oh my god.
Wind blowing in his hair.
Nothing's hotter.
Incredible.
So we hope you guys have enjoyed this actual meltdown that we just had you experience with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this beautiful record, except for I don't want to hear it if it's mean. I don't care. It's not valid. But if you love it, please tweet us at Name3Songs. This is the only time I will ever tell you to not bully me on the internet is about Machine Gun Kelly. Any other time, open playing field, not with this. So yeah, if you want to talk to me about how great Machine Gun Kelly looks on the top of a guitar with the top of a car with a pink guitar. You can tweet me at Sara_Feigin. I'm sure Jenna would love to be in the conversation too, and that's at Jenna_million.
I would be very amused.
So yeah, thanks for joining us on this music meltdown. This has been Name3Songs. Until next time, never let anyone make you feel bad about your favorite band.
And you're never too cool to listen to MGK.
Don't forget to subscribe to be notified when each episode comes out and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps.
If you want to find out more about anything we discussed in this episode, you can visit name3songs.com.